When I first started thinking about money, I believed the only way to get ahead was to save aggressively. I cut back on everything I could, small comforts, daily habits, anything that felt like an extra. And while that discipline helped me become more aware of my spending, it didn't actually move the needle in a meaningful way. There's only so much you can save when your income is limited. That realization was uncomfortable, but it was also the turning point. Instead of asking, how can I spend less? I started asking a better question, how can I earn more? That shift changed everything. Because earning more isn't about luck, it's about becoming useful. The market doesn't reward effort alone, it rewards value. So I began focusing on skills that people are willing to pay for. I didn't overcomplicate it. I looked at what was already in demand: communication, digital literacy, problem solving, and started building from there. I learned how to write clearly, how to present ideas, how to use tools that businesses rely on. At the beginning, I wasn't exceptional at any of it, but I didn't wait to feel ready. I practiced in public, made mistakes, improved, and kept going. One of the biggest mindset shifts I had was understanding that skills stack. You don't need to be the best in the world at one thing. You just need to be good enough at a few valuable things that, when combined, make you hard to replace. For example, being decent at communication and decent at a technical skill can often be more powerful than being excellent at only one of them. I also stopped thinking of learning as something temporary. It wasn't something I did for a few months and then checked off a list. It became part of my lifestyle. Every new skill I picked up increased my confidence and opened new opportunities. Better jobs, side income, collaborations. Over time, those small upgrades compounded into something significant. There's also a practical side to this. When your income increases, your margin for saving and investing increases too. It's much easier to build wealth when you're not constantly constrained by a low-income ceiling. You create breathing room, and that breathing room gives you options. Another important realization was that no one is coming to choose you. Early on, I thought opportunities would appear once I was qualified enough. But in reality, you have to position yourself, put your work out there, and sometimes create your own opportunities. Whether it was freelancing, applying for roles, or simply sharing what I was learning, taking initiative made a huge difference. Looking back, the biggest mistake wasn't starting with zero money. It was thinking small. Once I shifted my focus from restriction to growth, everything accelerated. Because when you invest in your ability to earn, you're not just increasing your income for 1 month, you're increasing your earning potential for life. And that's what truly changes your financial trajectory. Once I started earning more, I assumed things would naturally fall into place. More income should mean more savings, right? But that's not what happened. My spending quietly grew alongside my income, and at the end of each month, I still found myself wondering where my money had gone. That's when I realized the problem wasn't how much I earned, it was how I managed what I earned. Up until that point, my financial decisions were driven by emotion. If I felt stressed, I spent. If I felt like I deserved a reward, I spent. Saving was an afterthought, something I told myself I would do later. The issue with this approach is that later rarely comes. There's always something else competing for your money. So I stopped relying on willpower and built a system instead. The idea was simple: make the right financial decisions automatic so I didn't have to think about them every day. As soon as money came in, a fixed percentage was immediately set aside for saving and investing. Not what was left over, what was prioritized first. That one change flipped my entire financial behavior. It removed the constant internal debate of, should I save this or spend it? The decision had already been made. What remained in my account was what I could spend without guilt or second guessing. That clarity made managing money feel lighter, not restrictive. I also became more intentional about structuring my finances. I separated my money into different buckets, one for essentials, one for investing, one for personal spending. This wasn't about complexity, it was about visibility. When you can clearly see where your money is going, you're less likely to lose control of it. Another important part of the system was consistency. It didn't matter if the amount I was setting aside felt small at first. What mattered was that it happened every single time. Over time, those small, consistent actions built momentum, and momentum is far more powerful than occasional bursts of discipline. I also learned to reduce friction around good habits and increase friction around bad ones. For example, automating savings made it effortless to do the right thing. On the other hand, I made impulsive spending slightly harder, whether that meant waiting before making a purchase or avoiding situations where I knew I'd overspend. Small barriers can make a big difference. What surprised me most was how freeing this system felt. Before, I associated budgeting with restriction and stress. But in reality, the system gave me control. It allowed me to enjoy my money without constantly worrying about whether I was making the wrong decision. The truth is, wealth isn't built by making one perfect financial decision. It's built by making good decisions repeatedly without needing to think about them. Systems create that repetition. They turn discipline into something automatic. Because at the end of the day, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And once I understood that, managing money stopped being a struggle and started becoming a structure that worked for me, not against me. When I first heard about investing, it sounded like something reserved for people who already had money. I thought you needed a large amount to get started for it to even matter. So I delayed it. I told myself I'd begin once I was earning more or once I had enough saved. But that delay quietly cost me time, and time is the most valuable asset in investing. Eventually, I started anyway, even though the amounts felt almost insignificant. And to be honest, in the beginning, it didn't feel exciting. There was no instant reward, no visible change, no sense of progress that you could immediately point to. It felt slow, almost too slow. But that's exactly why most people don't stick with it. Investing isn't designed to impress you in the short term. It's designed to reward patience in the long term. And once I understood that, my mindset shifted. I stopped looking for quick results and started focusing on consistency instead. I committed to investing regularly, no matter how small the amount was. It became part of my system, just like saving. I wasn't trying to time the market or chase trends. I was simply showing up month after month, putting money to work. What makes this powerful is compounding. At first, it feels like nothing is happening. Your returns are small because the base is small. But over time, those returns start generating their own returns. And slowly, the curve begins to bend. The key is staying long enough to see that shift. Most people interrupt this process. They start, then stop. They invest when they feel confident, then pull out when they feel uncertain. But consistency matters more than confidence. The market will always fluctuate. That's normal. What matters is your behavior within those fluctuations. Another lesson I learned was to keep things simple. There's a lot of noise around investing, complex strategies, constant updates, predictions about what will happen next. Early on, it's easy to get overwhelmed by all of that. But complexity doesn't guarantee better results. In many cases, it just leads to inaction. So I focused on understanding the basics and sticking to them. Regular contributions, long-term thinking, patience. I also reframed how I looked at small amounts. Instead of thinking, this won't make a difference, I started thinking, this is building the habit. Because the habit is what scales. When your income grows, that same habit applies to larger amounts. And that's when things start to accelerate. There's also a psychological benefit to starting early. It shifts your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who will invest someday and start seeing yourself as someone who already does. That change in identity influences your future decisions in a powerful way. Looking back, the biggest advantage wasn't how much I invested at the start. It was the fact that I started at all. Because every month I delayed would have been a month where compounding could have been working in my favor. It may not feel significant in the moment, but over time, those small, consistent investments create something much bigger than you expect. And that's the quiet power of starting early and staying consistent. For a long time, my idea of being rich was shaped by what I saw around me: nice cars, expensive clothes, outward signs of success. It looked convincing, and without questioning it, I assumed that was the goal. Earn more, spend more, and display it in a way that proved you were doing well. But the more I paid attention, the more I noticed something didn't add up. People who looked wealthy were often the most financially stressed. High incomes, but no savings. Expensive lifestyles, but no real security. It made me question whether I was aiming for the right thing or just the most visible thing. That's when I started redefining what rich actually meant to me. I realized that real wealth isn't about what others can see. It's about what you can control. It's the ability to make decisions without being driven purely by financial pressure. It's having enough margin in your life that money isn't constantly dictating your choices. For me, that meant shifting my focus from status to freedom. Freedom to say no to things that don't align with me. Freedom to take a break without panic. Freedom to make long-term decisions instead of short-term compromises. Once that became the goal, my financial behavior changed almost immediately. I stopped spending money to impress people who weren't paying attention in the first place. I became more intentional. Not restrictive, but selective. I started asking better questions before spending. Is this adding value to my life or just to my image? Would I still want this if no one else saw it? Those questions helped me filter out a lot of unnecessary spending. At the same time, I became more comfortable with delayed gratification. Not in a rigid, extreme way, but in a way that aligned with my priorities. I understood that every financial decision has a trade-off. Money spent today is money that can't be invested for tomorrow. And once I truly understood that, I became more conscious of where my money was going. Another important shift was detaching my self-worth from my income or possessions. It's easy to fall into the trap of measuring yourself based on external success, but that creates pressure to constantly keep up, upgrade, and prove something. And that cycle is difficult to sustain. When you stop tying your identity to money, you make clearer decisions. You spend because it makes sense, not because it validates you. I also started valuing stability over appearance. Having savings, investments, and a financial buffer may not be visible, but it creates a sense of calm that no purchase can replicate. It reduces stress. It gives you options. And over time, those invisible choices build a very visible outcome. What surprised me most was that when I stopped trying to look rich, I actually started becoming financially stronger. Because my decisions were no longer driven by comparison, they were driven by clarity. Redefining wealth doesn't mean rejecting money or success. It means being precise about what success looks like for you. For me, it meant prioritizing freedom, security, and long-term growth over short-term validation. And once that definition became clear, every financial decision became simpler.